So, does anyone care to touch on this further?
Wasn't there a young lady that was found unalive in Oklahoma that had some ties back to Epstein and Trump? I'm just saying.
And it was a cover-up, obvious cover-up. Here's my point. There's some really ugly stuff going on in the world. And I know people that just get outraged at Putin because he's had some people knocked off. Well, just about everybody in government, including our government, has done that kind of thing.
My name is Jerry. I left MAGA. And in this episode, I'm going to be talking about Rick Joyner. If you've seen my video on Christian teleportation hokiness, you've already seen this clip. If you haven't seen that video, I recommend you go check it out. But in the meantime, I'm just going to give you a quick reminder. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm just not going to do that. But
Pray for me to get Philip's anointing so I can, when I'm supposed to go somewhere, I just get zapped there, translated there. And by the way, I have done that one time. That has happened to me one time. I don't have time to get into it now, but I'll tell you about it sometime.
anyway, if you want to hear more about that and know more about this teleportation or translation, the video prior to this one and the playlist will be the one you're looking for. So let's take a little deeper look into Rick Joyner here. And let's see, this video is from 2015, April 10th, 2015. So check it out.
Happening with radical Islam rising in the earth is judgment from God against perversion and abortion. And these are two of the things Islam hates the most. They hate abortion. They think this is the craziest thing. They don't abort their babies, and they don't tolerate those who do. It's murder. And they hate the perversion, even though it's got a grip on them in many ways. They hate it. Now, I'm not saying the movement is from God. I'm not saying Islam is from God, but I believe God's using it just the way he used the heathen nations around Israel. Whenever Israel fell into apostasy, he would use the heathen nations around Israel to discipline them. Even Babylon, the Lord called Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar's army, his own arm. These were heathen, but he was using that to bring discipline on Israel that had fallen into such apostasy. And I believe this challenge of Islam all over the world, God is allowing it. It's not his spirit. It's contrary to his spirit, but he is allowing it to bring judgment on both perversion and abortion.
Okay, so I wonder if he is making reference to the Job story there, where God allowed Job to be tormented by the devil because there was a bet in place. All right, so February 2nd, 2017. Now I'm just giving you the dates. I don't think I laid these out in any particular chronological order. I'm just trying to lay out um, the guy's mentality and mindset because I've got a little something special on the back end of this video for you.
Something, the show that's going on in Washington over, whether the Senate is going to approve Trump's appointees and the behavior of the left after this election. It's mind-boggling. I mean, it's not only undemocratic, it's unfair, it's unjust, it's unhinged, it's undignified, it's immature. I mean, you could just go on and on and on. It is really an outrage. They're looking silly, they're looking childish. I mean, we got senators and congressmen that, I've never seen this kind of behavior on such an immature level. And just this boisterous, absolutely out of control rage that's coming on our country, I think it is Lucifer. I'm just saying. But we know someone who won. And we know, you can read the end of the book, who's going to win that fight. And
So yeah, he's a biblical literalist as well as being one of these dispensationalist types that teleports. Interesting.
uh, and I think the victory's not far off. We see, as we do in Isaiah 60, when darkness covers the earth and deep darkness the people, all that chaos, that
Okay, this was 9 years ago. If you want to watch the rest of it, the link is in the description below. I stuck all this stuff into a playlist like I've gotten into a habit of doing. So let's take another look at or take a look at this clip from July 28th, 2017. And let's see, let's see. Well, let's just see what he has to say.
personally, and I've shared this a few times before, but I'm expecting some chaos in the White House team for the duration of Trump's administration. And I am saying this is because he is such an extraordinary leader. It's not a lack of leadership. It's a different kind of leadership than we're used to being in any place in our government, because our whole system has evolved in a way of, you know, of elevating people to leadership positions in our present government system that are not real leaders. They're politicians. Trump is a leader. Now, Jesus, as I shared yesterday, he was the best leader there will ever be. Of course, he's the King of Kings, Lord of Lords, creator of the universe. Here are these guys who've lived with him. He personally chose them for his inner core, his team, his cabinet, if you will, and trained them himself. They lived with him for 3.5 years. And yet on the night before he's crucified, they're still fighting over who's the greatest. Why were they fighting? Because they are stallions. These are serious.
They weren't fighting. They were talking amongst themselves, but it's not like they were fighting. This guy is just so misdirected. Um, let's see if we can finish this.
Leaders. They're the real thing. And they're going to jostle and they're going to fight. They're going to position themselves. Trump has chosen that type of people for his cabinet.
Okay, I think that probably the biggest difference between the biblical description in the New Testament of the behavior of the disciples in contrast to the behavior of Trump's cabinet, it just shows you how inverted this whole thinking system is, or doctrinal system. Doctrinal system. I can't do any more of that. So, uh, this is from 2018. So that was before Uvalde. Yeah, that was before the Uvalde shooting. Let's see. I don't remember what happened in 2018, but let's see what Rick has to say about this one.
Good spiritual evidence that the Columbine shooting in
Mm.
Colorado years ago opened a gate of hell into our country. Now, scriptures, in the scriptures, gates of hell are access points. They're doorways through which hell gains access to our lives, to our families, our churches, our communities. In this case, I think it has been the whole country and maybe many other countries, but a gate of hell was opened. Only the church, when there is a gate of hell, where there's been a breakthrough of hell into society, only the church has the spiritual authority to shut that gate of hell.
I'm just going to quote William Shakespeare at this point. For hell is empty, or hell is empty for all the devils are here on on the earth. So they're again, they're constantly interpreting the world through this doctrinal lens that if you're not one of us, you're one of the other side. So if you're not one of the saved, you're one of the doomed, and therefore you're demonic. You're just satanic. Um, Yeah, okay, so here we go again from June 2017.
This is an insanity, but it's a poison too. And where's it coming from? I tell you, the spiritual discern it right away. It says in the book of Revelation, when Satan is thrown out of heaven, when he is cast down from his high place, he comes to the earth with great wrath. Believe it or not, evil was trying to take over our country. It was the most, I think, systematic and blatant attempt to pervert our nation, to destroy our nation. I think it was a satanic attempt, and it was working until Trump was elected. And I don't think we would have survived a Hillary Clinton, even a first term. I think we would have probably at best fallen to third world status with a unbelievable economic catastrophe, many other things. We would have imploded.
Can you see how they got us here? I tried before the 2024 elections. I tried to get people to see these things. I hadn't seen them until I saw them. And that clip that I've shared up before about Ken Copeland asking who's the biggest loser in the Bible, and he says it's God. And I shared that with my dad, and he's like, I never heard that. So it's this cognitive dissonance, it's this dissociation from reality that these people suffer from because they have individuals that they recognize as authority figures, and they're the ones with the true word. Good grief. Anyway, yeah, uh, there's the title, and this is from 2017. So this may have encouraged some of the Russophilia that we have found so common in the MAGA movement.
But there's a awful lot going on. There's still an awful lot of ground to be taken uh, by the new administration. They're making really good progress, but they have still unbelievable inside opposition. People left over from previous administrations that are just fighting and doing everything they can to hinder progress. It's amazing. I mean, you're talking about thousands of people, many of which are in key positions and have got to be replaced. And you know what the definition of treason is? One of our guys read it yesterday. It is
Hold on, folks. Hold on. Just he's going to lay it on the way he feels.
actually trying. No, it was Bobby Conner that read it. It is the attempt to overthrow a duly elected government, or a government that is legitimate government. Any attempt to overthrow such a government is treason.
April 10th, 2017. Boy, that didn't age very well, did it? Not at all. January 6th, 2020. Yeah, I misread that one, but as things fell out, I ran across some stuff that just, yeah, it wasn't just any one thing.
And we've got a lot of people seriously doing treasonous things now. I don't hope it won't get to the point of uh, where people are going to have to be charged and dragged out. Some need to be. Some have done things so illegal. But just yesterday, some of the things that came out in the news, it again came out. Guccifer, which I don't like that name, but it's another organization that has been incredibly accurate with the stuff they put out. And they also agreed with Assange that the DNC staffer that was murdered last year was the one who leaked the DNC emails.
Okay, so if you didn't catch that, he made a reference to Julian Assange, and I should do a workup on that story as well because um, if you're unaware, Julian Assange is the one that set up WikiLeaks. He dumped a whole bunch of information over there. He ended up off in exile. Bill Barr. was the director of the CIA for Donald Trump during that first administration. And as I remember the story, he was wanting to use agents to go in and extract Julian Assange from a foreign embassy and eliminate him. Uh, and that went on for a long time until Julian was finally released. Um, I have I've heard a lot of different opinions about that, about where he was released, how it all happened, and yes, I'm sure that the what is it, the Family Research Center has something to do with it, because it's a conservative movement. Anyway, let's get back to Rick.
To WikiLeaks, which is what Julian Assange said. The guy was murdered. And of course, DC police covered it up, saying it was just a robbery. But they didn't rob him of anything, didn't take his wallet, didn't take his money, whoever did. He was just murdered.
Wasn't there a young lady that was found unalive in Oklahoma that had some ties back to Epstein and Trump? I'm just saying.
And it was a cover up, obvious cover up. Here's my point. There's some really ugly stuff going on in the world. And I know people that just get outraged at Putin because he's had some people knocked off. Well, just about everybody in government, including our government, has done that kind of thing.
He's not wrong. I'm just saying. So let's see. This next couple of videos is getting kind of interesting. Yeah, the take on this insanity, going looping back around to it, May 25th, 2017. Let's check this out.
Of Obama's administration, he hired hundreds of federal workers, and just they were sown throughout the federal bureaucracy. I don't know if their jobs were defined. Why were they needed? Why was he hiring them then in just the last few weeks instead of uh, early in his administration when they could have accomplished something in their bureaus? Why? I think he was setting up a minefield. These were political operatives who've been doing what is happening right now in every way they can, undermining the new administration. That's sedition. That's a major attack. That is a major rebellion against the Republic. Against
Okay, so Rick, how about Project 2025? Huh? How about Dave Barton, who I'm going to be doing a video on in the very near future, who's been training some of these new government people for appointmentships in the Trump administration, Trump 2.0. How about all that, Rick? Aren't they political operatives? So you're projecting, and you're claiming the other side is going crazy because they're fighting against you, pushing back against you. Um, Rick, what the heck? Uh, let's just move on to the next video. All right. So this is June 11th, 2015. Again, I didn't, I'm not putting these in any particular order, but I've got a couple of things that I want to show you in reference to this and something else that I'm aware of. And then we're going to do a quick little Bible study. But let's just check out. Yeah, it's only a minute and a half. We can probably make it all the way through.
how would I, link the Supreme Court decision on same-sex marriage to the mark of the beast? And I think it's already been linked. Now, let me say this. I am not saying that Supreme Court decision is the mark of the beast. What I'm saying is it is a remarkable parallel and does everything that it says the mark of the beast will do if they come down saying that, same-sex marriage is a constitutional right. As we've already seen, businesses, people being put out of business because they would not violate their conscience, based
because they refused to bake a cake for a gay couple.
in their belief in what God has said in His Word about this issue and about homosexuality, and because they said they could not violate that, which was a religious conviction, they've been put out of business. They can no longer.
No, no, they weren't put out of business. All right, while we're on, I wanted to hit this Mark of the Beast thing because we've got this Rick Joyner's uh, word for the week, increasing light, part three. And what I want to do, I need to move my keyboard. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go Control F, and then I'm going to find vaccine, and we're going to look here. Now, let me make that a little bigger. All right, let's go a little bigger yet, and let's close that. The tendency of governments to use the COVID-19 pandemic to force people to get the vaccine or not be able to work, travel, or participate in commerce has many believing that this could be the mark of the beast described in Revelation. Others believe that this is not it. It is at least a trial run. Either way, it is imperative that we seek first his kingdom and his righteousness until he becomes the source of all our provisions. This is the only truly safe place in the world in God's will. If the vaccine mandate is not the mark of the beast, it could certainly be a part of the strategy to condition the world for that mark. Those implementing these mandates may or may not know what they are doing. Now, I'm just going to pause there. Okay, so I'm going to go back and remind you that the COVID pandemic kicked off towards the end of the second Trump administration. Right off the bat, he signed a bill or signed an executive order to increase our national debt by $6 trillion to try to take this virus on. And if you'll remember the track and trace for social contact, those apps, at least in the United States, they were powered by Palantir. Just think about that. So, what is the mark of the beast? Let's go over here and we'll take a look. We got Revelation 13, 11 through 18. I've got the King James and the ESV lined up side by side. I hope that you can see this well enough. If not, you can pull it up. Link is going to be for this in the description as well. On that Bible Gateway. You can't see that at the top because of the way things are trimmed for YouTube. Anyway, and behold, another beast coming up out of the earth. You know what? Let me read the English Standard Version. King King James is awkward sometimes. The second beast. Then I saw another beast rising out of the earth. It had two horns like a lamb, and it spoke like a dragon. It exercises all the authority of the first beast in its presence, and makes the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose mortal wound was healed. Verse 13, it performs great signs, even making fire come down from the heavens to the earth in front of the people. And by the signs that it is allowed to work in the presence of the beast, it deceives those who dwell on the earth, telling them to make an image for the beast that was wounded by the sword and yet lived. And it was allowed to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast might even speak and might cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be slain. I've heard Peter Thiel make reference to that in parallels to AI. Continuing with verse 16. It also it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark. That is the name of the beast or the number of the name. It calls for wisdom. Let one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Now I remember this passage being utilized for fear mongering in reference to barcodes when they were first starting to come out in the 70s and becoming way more popular and on into the 80s. The UPC, the Universal Product Code, that set the evangelical world on its ear. So let's see, next article. Oh yeah, still talking about Rick Joyner. I want to introduce you briefly to this guy Todd Bentley, who was lifted up by Rick Joyner. Morningstar Ministries faces backlash for platforming disgraced preacher Todd Bentley. Well, I'm not going to read the article. The link is in the description. It's a wild story, but let's look at Todd Bentley and Rick Joyner interacting, and then let me show you what the controversy around Todd Bentley is, and then I'm gonna loop this back around to Rick Joyner, and we're gonna take a look at a resource. I'm only going to show you part of it. A resource that suggests that maybe Rick Joyner's a spy and not a preacher. Anyway, what we got here?
He didn't come for the service. He was at the hotel here. And he heard me give this word. I'm going to pray for anybody that has cancer right now. And I didn't realize he was in a truck accident and he broke his sternum and he had several broken ribs. The Lord didn't tell me this. All I knew I was going to pray for somebody who was going to be healed of cancer. We were going to bind the strong man. This man's healing would be the first sign of a brand new anointing over death and infirmity and cancer. That's what the Lord told me. So when he finally came up onto the platform and I was going to go pray for him, the Lord spoke to me, and I know it was the Lord, and it's got to be the Lord. You only do this when it's the Lord.
Don't try this at home unless it's the Lord.
The Lord. There's got to be a don't try this at home. The Lord told me, and remember, I didn't know he had a broken sternum or broken ribs. The Lord said, I want you to punch him in the sternum as hard as you can. And I'm thinking to myself, restoration, Rick's here, my first service, God, you want me to punch this guy? And it just didn't make sense to me. And I thought, Lord, he's dying. He lost over 40 pounds. So anyways, I punched him in that broken sternum, and he ended up on the ground and just vibrating under the power of God. He gets up, and immediately you could see a change in his face, in his countenance. And
there'd be a change on my face and in my countenance as well as somebody punched me in a broken sternum. I wouldn't be polite about it either. I'm just saying.
Long story short, he was totally healed of cancer. The broken sternum was healed. The ribs were healed.
Instantly.
With
the punch.
He
got healed. It didn't hurt him.
These people are delusional. All right, so this was put together and posted back in 2019. This was the only version of this particular clip that I could find on short notice. But here we go, folks. This is wild.
Slid down her leg onto the floor. I said, God, I've prayed for like 100 crippled people, not one. He said, that's because I want you to grab that lady's crippled legs and bang them up and down on the platform like a baseball bat. I walked up and I grabbed her legs and I started going, be healed! Be healed! I started banging them up and down on the platform. She got healed. And I'm thinking, God, why is not the power of God moving? He said, because you haven't kicked that woman in the face. And there's this older lady worshiping right in front of the platform.
Keep that in mind. An older lady praying right in front of the platform.
And the Holy Spirit spoke to me. The gift of faith came on me. He said, kick her in the face with your biker boot. I inched closer and I went like this. Bam! And just as my boot made contact with her nose, she fell into the power of God.
And these people are laughing at this crazy story. It's just insane.
And the Holy Spirit spoke to me. The gift of faith came on me. He said, kick her in the face with your biker boot. I inched closer and I went like this. Bam! And just as my boot made contact with her nose, she fell into the power of God. And I saw him and the gift of faith came on me. I said, what do I do, God? And God told me to just run him down. So I jumped up in the air and I went, BAM! And I hit him to the ground, jumped onto him, and got into a full mount. Ground and pound. I jumped on there, and I was in a full mount, and something came over me, and instead of punching him, I grabbed him by the neck and started choking him. And I said, come out of him, devil! Come out of him, devil! Now I was in another meeting one time, and I called out this Chinese gentleman. And all of a sudden, I went running down the aisle, and I hit this guy so hard, it drove him back several feet. He hit the ground, and his tooth popped right out of his mouth. The pastor was lying on the floor, and I was standing up on the platform, and I said, God, I want revival. And he said these words to me, leg drop the pastor.
Just wow. Just wow. All right, so I'm going to introduce you to some work that was dropped by Laura over at Magical Mystery Church back in 2022. This was something that I ended up having to definitely put into my resource kit because I've had to refer to this guy back to this guy a number of times. This is an 18-minute video. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I'm already a half hour in, but I'm going to play enough of a teaser for you that it should grab your attention.
I'm reading a blog post from February of 2013. It's called What Do Rick Joyner, the CIA, and the Knights of Malta Have in Common? In a video presentation to his church membership, Rick Joyner explained why he got his ordination and investiture into the Knights of Malta. In October 2012, he attempted to do damage control due to rising criticism on the internet about his longtime affiliation with the Jesuit-founded order. Joyner spoke about what led him to join the order over 20 years ago and rejected any thought that the Knights of Malta is an arm of Freemasonry or a secret society. In part 1, Joyner talks about meeting Colonel Eugene Byrd, who served as the American director of the Spandau prison for Nazi war criminals located in West Germany. Byrd, who he admired, shocked Allied authorities when he became friends with the enemy, after developing camaraderie with Rudolf Hess, one of Adolf Hitler's closest confidants. It ultimately cost him his military career. We also learned that Byrd was a member of the Knights of Malta, which is how Joyner eventually took the vow and became part of the order.
And I'm going to leave that there as the teaser. I hope you'll go and check it out. It is, Laura does some really good work. She really does. And I've done some collaborations with her before. Her Satan's Little Season series is something that I helped her with. In the initial video, there was just a lot of confusion. And so I sat down and I watched the whole thing. I was like, oh my goodness, no wonder she couldn't figure this out. So I went back through and I watched it a second time. And I counted up in the 115 minutes of the program, there were 170 conspiracy theories, or maybe it's 170 conspiracy theories and or 150 conspiracy theories in 170 minutes. I don't know. It was pretty much one a minute. And so I went back through and I broke all that down. Um, I don't think it doesn't look like I was looking to see if I had a Satan's Little Season playlist where I went through and did the debunk. And I apparently don't have that put together. But I highly recommend you check out Laura's work over there at Magical Mystery Church. Like I said, I've enjoyed working with her in the past. I haven't worked with her in quite some time. I did not get all the way through her Two Masters, Two Gospels read through. I'm thankful that she did that, but I'm working on One Nation Under Blackmail Volume 2. My girlfriend and I are working on Star Spangled Jesus. And I still had Jesus and John Wayne to listen to. And I think I've got another book lined up. And then I want to go back and do the Gospel of J. Edgar Hoover again, because there's a lot of details in there. And there's some stuff I'm wanting to pull from the book, but I got to remember exactly where they are. Anyway, if you've made it all the way through this video, I greatly appreciate it. And if you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up. If you know somebody that might find this information useful, please send it to them. And if you haven't yet, give me a subscribe. I got a lot more crazy stuff coming up. Until the next video, take care of yourself so you can help take care of others. Get the rest that you need and keep track of your fluids.